just kind of looking at human nature. Humans have shown throughout history that they love to reach pinnacles, landmarks, and have goals achieved. 2019 going into 2020 is one of those things that people are excited about. It's a new decade, it's a new year. People can see a significant amount of progress of 20 years into the new millennium. So today, the goal is to talk about 2019, 2020, and beyond, and how we can take a period of reflection and look at the last 20 years and see what we can do or what we may do going forward. So let's go. Okay, so this is going to be in three parts. I'm excited because what I'm going to do is I'm going to review in part one from 2018 to 2010. And so I'm just going to let whatever background that music play. I don't own any of the music, but the music probably will represent who or what I am and what I've gone through in the time. So I think that's really, really cool. Um, then in part two, I'm going to talk about this year. And then in part three, I'm going to talk about the future, what I think the next 10 years will look like. So let's go backwards, right? So if we go backwards, right, 2018, just crazy. I wrote my second book. I failed in a lot of relationships, a lot of relationships. Because I was shooting, though. I was shooting and I was trying to create relationships all across the board. So I was really, really trying. I'm still trying, but I was really trying in 2018 to have relationships, girlfriend, business relationships, but I was really, really trying. The second book was something that I really felt could be something powerful for me. It was great fun to write a fiction book, and it inspired me to know that I could do anything and everything. Um, the failed relationships thing is probably the thing that stands out the most to me, especially since I was taking pictures. I have a better visual record of the failures. Now, when I say failures, please, it's never negative. And even though I don't like using negative, let me use another word other than never. It's the connotation is meant to be just an assessment of the moment, but it was a failure in the moment. But in the grand scheme, I gained a lot of stuff. But 2018, yeah, second book, my last year teaching of fiction, great fun to write, and failed a lot with relationships. Um, I don't regret any of those things. I have zero regrets for them, and I'm glad that I failed at those because failure is a moment. It's far from eternal. So those relationships that have failed may possibly come back, but it'll give me an opportunity to reevaluate what I am because I was listening to something and people get stuck into who I am because who you are is history. What I am is what you are in this moment, what you aspire to be. And so what I am is someone who accepts that I'm going to try. And so for me, the next thing would be 2017. Oh, my bow tie swag was so hard. I got to thank my homeboy Jason for this. This is my brother. He actually put me on it. It was one time I visited him, and him and his wife went to a party for something. He won an award. And when he won the award, he said, hey, he wanted to do a bow tie. So I was like, hey, man, show me how to do it. Went to the house with him or whatever. He showed me it. It was difficult when he did it because he was just learning. It was difficult when I first learned how to do it. But then from there, I got like 4 or 5 bow ties now. My bow tie swag, my bow tie game is much better. I love to wear bow ties and sort of random occasions because you make the moment special. You make the moment classy. Another thing in 2017 is I for sure learned Spanish. Like that's when I knew some Spanish. Far from being perfect in the Spanish, but knowing I know Spanish, talking to people, feeling comfortable, conversational, and I thought that part was really cool, especially since when I wrote my first book, which came out in 2017. One of the things that I wanted to make sure I did was make sure it was bilingual because I first wrote the book and I'm like, oh, that's dope. Then I was like, yo, I'm learning this Spanish. One way to help me continue practice and learning my Spanish is to get the book written in Spanish. So I got somebody to help me, and I read through it, and I went through the checks and stuff like that to make sure it related and it was correct. But it was a really, really cool process in 2017 to not only write my first book, which is 50 pages, and it took forever to write 50 pages, but then to have it translated into Spanish and me understand it. I also started my LLC that year, and it was really, really, really powerful and positive. Being abroad made me realize the ambition that I have as an American. And I'm not saying it's only Americans who have the ambition, but it's just, I think, a cultural thing that exists for Americans. So I specifically was like, yes, I really, really want to have my own LLC. I want to work for myself. And that's where I had a mobile app developed. This is when I used my sort of computer coding skills on the website I had, but then I had a app developed, and I was really, really believing that that app was going to change the world. And it could. I've heard that there's similar apps to the app I created. So mine was the minimal success was about lack of promotion, lack of connections, and just being new. While I won't blame it on newness, I'll blame it on just, lack of information on my part and direction because I should have had a better plan. 2016, man. 2016 is when I decided to become dedicated and take a risk on myself. It's never a gamble on yourself, but I did. I said, hey, you know what? I wanna learn Spanish. I'm gonna leave the country. And so July 3rd, I took my trip to Colombia, and I've been happy with the decision since then. And before I left, I made sure I did my U.S. tour, so to speak. I visited all my people that I felt were close to me in that time period. So, I went to Boston to visit my homeboy Reggie, and he was actually in the process of, I think he was either retiring or in the process of retiring from the military, but he was starting his art career, so it was good to see someone do something new in their life as I was going to do something new, and I was excited. I bought one of his painting from him. Then I went to Vegas to visit my bro, Sid, and that's when we neither one of us really gambles, so it wasn't even we did Vegas, but we didn't even like gamble. So what we did is we actually ended up going to San Diego because it was something that I said I wanted to do. I've always thought San Diego was like the ideal city for me because of the weather, because I don't particularly like hot, and I'm cool with cold, but I didn't want to be cold, and I actually did this. I had this on my phone's calendar, and the not the calendar, the what is it called? Oh man, the weather thing. So I had to keep track of weather, and San Diego was like almost 75, 80 all year. So I'm like, oh man, I definitely got to do this. And so we went to San Diego, freaking loved it. Gaslamp District, beaches, Pacific Beach, Coronado Beach, awesome stuff. But my man Sydney is my dude when it comes to like just, hey, random road trip. So we took the random road trip from Las Vegas to San Diego. And one of the things I wanted, because I forget what happened in 2016, but I was really hardcore and I wanted a parade. I think the Panthers, while I was living in Charlotte, was close, and I said, oh yeah, all I want is parades. Got into Colombia and I like experienced like 5 or 6 of them. So that was great for me. It was freaking wonderful. 2015, man, it was the first taste of kind of seeing what an entrepreneur would be like a little bit. It was like my first full year. I was selling insurance, and while I wasn't an independent agent, I was an independent agent because I was a captive agent. But I did everything where I created the business relationships, networking, put together over 500 plus business networking connections. I mean, I drove miles and miles and miles, man. It was really serious, man. And that year was a pretty seminal year for me as well, because this is the first time that me and my siblings really did something together. My dad was going through a situation, so I helped my sister in New York, help move him from New York City down to South Florida, in the Miami area, near my other sister who's a nurse, and their family. And it was just amazing, just the whole process. And I fell in love with the South Florida, South Beach area, and it was just really, really a different situation for me. And that's when I really, really felt like connected. Uh, and I felt like I had a family then. Like, I had two sisters. I have. They're still around. But, I mean, while I don't talk to them every day, and I mean, because our connections happen while we're adults, it's a different level because we're different people as adults. You sort of prioritize in a different way. But I was very excited and happy about that because we have to have conversations about, our opinions about our situation with our father and our individual lives as adults. And so that was really, really cool to experience. And, South Florida became my spot, man, especially since, going back to 2014, I made a friend who was from Miami. She's a Latina, and, she was part of the motivation of, hey, I want to learn Spanish, even though she never really helped me because she would speak Spanish really fast. And then I would never learn the language because of how fast she freaking talked. But, the thing about it is that it opened my mind because in 2014, it was a year of transition for me. It was me getting off of depression. And this is where me and my buddy Mike, we did Totally 80s weekend, and we planned to be Miami Vice, Crockett, and Tubbs. And we totally would have won the competition for the Totally 80s weekend up at Beach Mountain, sponsored by our friend Craig at the time. But we were ineligible because we were his friends. But the Miami Vice outfit was awesome. But I also did some jumps in my life. I bought a brand new car. And it was something that came in a dream. I stayed up in the middle of the night after working with my buddy Al at his car rental location. And I changed jobs. I said, you know what? I got to get away from teaching. I think I can do something else to make money because my ambition was if I'm not going to be happy in my personal life, let me try to make as much money as possible. And so I changed job too, to sell insurance. And it was really different. It was a very different situation for me because of the sort of changes in schedules and lifestyle. Going back to 2013, I had a serious relationship end. I absolutely own, my place in the issue, and I appreciated that relationship for the time that it existed, and I believe I grew, and I'm a better man now, and it makes me know, how to appreciate, but also, it made me understand that I probably should be less dependent on external forces and that my internal forces, my inspiration, is what it will take me the furthest in life. I was sad. I know I cried quite a few times that year, man. In that process, I actually, just sort of trying to cope with it. I went to Iceland, and I got to see Iceland for a day, and that was very interesting. And I joked about being the only black dude in Iceland, which is funny, but I'm sure I wasn't. And then I had a moment in England where it was a very uncomfortable moment. Sleeping in the airport was pretty garbage, but, it was something to humble me. And then being in Germany, hanging out with my guy Sydney again, and him with his I don't know if she was brand new. She's his wife now, but his new girlfriend at the time, where I felt the energy and excitement that was there, so I was excited to hear when they got married a couple years later. And it was also, so after doing Germany and seeing Frankfurt and having the foam parties and stuff like that, and just learning Europe in a different way, other than when I had been to Europe with my previous relationship, my family. It was different, in this situation. I also had a chance to go to New York City, go to Yankee Stadium, because I'm a huge Yankees fan, new Yankee Stadium, and with my buddy Donnie, and to see Manchester City and my favorite team and Chelsea, his favorite team, play. And it was a really, really cool time just to hang out, because I hung out with my sister there as well. Living in D.C. was amazing. It was everything I thought it would be. It was just unfortunate. It worked out in a way where I decided to leave mid-year because of, sort of a situation that I was in. But that situation that ended also led me to meeting up with my dad and my sister and trying to reunite and actually create a relationship from that because of a relationship ending in my life. And it was a really, really cool time. I got to hang out with my sister and her mom and her family for Thanksgiving. It was a very memorable time. And so 2013 was a year of ups and downs, but it obviously elevated me to where I am now, where I have a greater security about who I am and what I'd like to be. 2012, going backwards, was another just amazing year because I think about just what happened. For instance, at the beginning of the year, I coached a team that for a couple years prior, not sure how many years, I didn't win any games. It was terrible. And I say I was terrible, but I mean, I blame it on me. I mean, maybe the players, were not good, but I take the blame for that a couple years before 2012. But in 2012, I coached a team, and we won the basketball championship. It was the first basketball championship in the school history. I was coaching soccer. The soccer team did pretty well. Got connected. Obviously, I met my boy Billy before that, but, this is when we really had a good deal of success because we knew each other pretty well. So that was really exciting. It was also the first year I actually got to go to the NCAA tournament and watch, tournament basketball. It was really exciting. I never had the experience, but it was amazing for me. And, it was cool because I love basketball, and to be invited. And this is one I did with Mike, one of my coworkers at my job, who's still my friend now. And I was really excited about that. It's also, in 2012, was the first time I went to Ground Zero. I had been to New York several times before, but I had never gone to Ground Zero before to do the tour. This was when I took a group for Model UN and at the UN in New York City. It was the last trip I did for that. But it was amazing to go to see the Ground Zero, to go to Ground Zero and feel those emotions come back after the event that happened. But also in 2012 was the year where this is where the DC move came in, where I went with this teaching program, hopefully to be moved to DC, and it turned out to be an utter failure. Learning lesson. I got to hang out and learn Philadelphia a little bit, learn and meet some new people, and it was wow for me, man. Learn Philly, learn who I was as a teacher, and it was at that point when I knew I needed to do something different for myself, because I was trying to advance my relationship, because I don't think I had it where it needed to be, which is why, it ended the next year. 2011, man, another year trying to move, man. I tried to move to Dallas, made a trip to Dallas, got to see the Dallas Cowboys Stadium. That was pretty amazing. Did the tour and all of that stuff. Got to see how Jerry Jones was a super rich dude, and how pro athletes, kind of function in their work environment. It was amazing. I also got to go to the Gold Cup. It was the first major football tournament or soccer tournament ever with my boy Billy and Donnie. And it was a huge Mexico game in Charlotte. And it was amazing because the whole stadium was Mexico. And it really, really made me love soccer that much more. That year I also had a huge, and I don't have fights often, but I had a huge blow-up argument in that summer, which kind of, was a prelude to the issues that I had with my relationship. But I went to my family reunion that year, and it was good to see my family. That was probably the last family reunion I went to, I think, as well. And also, the first time I got a chance to go to Detroit for a friend's wedding. So I was in Detroit. We did downtown Detroit, went to Comerica Park to see the Tigers play a baseball game. The Yankees lost to them that year. I remember that vividly. But also just to kind of see Detroit and see what it was, and went past 8 Mile and saw the other side of the tracks. But also went to the University of Michigan and saw that big house. And me and Mike got to hang out in a couple of bars and spots in Ann Arbor, and we got to see Big Blue on campus, and it's a huge campus, but also just the vibe of the campus was something different. Which I love the energy of people who either are ambitious to thinking they're going to do something with their life and actually making an effort to do it, or just the college experience and how they push you forward. And then the last. So we shut out, right, the 10-year span. So in 2010 was my first Model UN trip to New York City this was my second one. It was my second trip. But this was and I don't like to call favors, but this was my best group. Uh, really great group. They performed really well. It does have a little bit of sadness because in that group was a student that passed away probably 2 years after that. I want to still start a fun run for her, themed sprints for smiles, because depression is what ultimately affected her in the long run. But she was an amazing person, and Jackie, rest in peace. And it was just, but that trip was so memorable because of just the things that happened as far as the successes that those students had. And that was really my highlight in 2010 because I brought in 2010 on New Year's Eve celebrating the wedding of one of my longest lifelong friends, Jason, and his wife, Charlie. It was an amazing time in Mount Pleasant. And I'm glad that that's how I started the decade, was with friends and surrogate family that made me know that this decade is going to be amazing. So I did my 10 years there. The next recording will be for this year, which will be significantly shorter than this one. And then the third recording will be for what I anticipate who I am and what I want to be going forward for the next 10 years. Dopeness. All right, we ready for 2019 this year. All right, so this was an interesting year for me, man. So I know I started the year in Panama City. It was something that I tried to plan on purpose, and it's been an interesting year for me. Pushing forward with my app development business, pushing forward with working on 3 screenplays. A screenplay about Albert Einstein at an HBCU and at Lincoln University. A screenplay about a female superhero that can see the future, and a third screenplay about another female protagonist who can give people superpowers. So I'm looking forward to working on those and just making them better. Also working on a book, finishing the book that I should have finished already last year, Married. Just, finish up the Simon Says story from the last year teaching. Again, fiction based on amalgamations of stories that I know of with my friends and my family, while also adding humor, hopes, and a little bit of wishes towards what I think it could be. I got to do some traveling here, man, this year. I got to see some festivals and go to some new places. Like I got to do some hot springs this year. I met some real good people to hang out with this year. I went to San Andreas Island, and that was amazing for me, for just understanding, things can happen for you in life without necessarily having it planned. Went to San Andreas Island, an island that's a part of the country of Colombia, but they speak English there. They speak Patois, French, and Spanish. It was an amazing time there. Weather, everything. I also had a long period where I didn't work, and it wasn't because I was unemployed. It was because of sort of waiting and understanding situations of actually working. Because when I first came to Colombia, I worked with a governmental program, and after the governmental program ended, I started looking for work on my own, and I've been successful, and I appreciate the success that the universe has given me. But all of them very, very serious learning lessons, as well as advancing myself. Definitely my Spanish is much better than what it was before. I feel much more confident talking to people in the Spanish and listening. I'd still like to improve, and I will continue to improve, but it's just something that 2019 has brought to me. 2019 has also been a year that I took tons and tons of pictures, so I could literally chronicle everything I've done in photos, and they're beautiful photos. Like, I think I might be kind of good at photography because of my eye, and I know there's other people who are very good, but I feel like that I present something that it will be just as good or appreciated as any professional photographer. But it's really about the audience. It's about, does the audience accept you, or if the audience likes your energy, or are you appealing to whatever that's interesting to them. So it's just been real for me, and I've been appreciating having several locations to be my muse, to help me improve as a person. I went to a cool concert series at a hotel resort where it was the concert was in a pool, and I got to hang out with some other foreigners and really just enjoy life, man. You know, it's been a year where I wish I had more family and friends around, but you know, I've chosen a path in life, and my actually ultimate goal is to be wealthy. And if I want my friends and family to be a part of my life, I give them an invitation and I pay for them, and they just come and they don't lose anything. That's my goal. And so my mom did come to visit me for my birthday in Cartagena. It was really amazing. I love and appreciate the fact that my mom did that, but also my buddy Andrew and his girlfriend came, and we hung out in Cartagena together. It was absolutely amazing. We actually were there a few weeks after Will Smith filmed his movie in Cartagena, so it was cool to see when he put out Gemini Man to be in all those locations. It's just I've tried many things this year. And again, I use the word failure, but I failed a lot of times. And it's teaching me things all the time that I have a resolve. I've had some moments of depression. And I don't even know if depression is the right word, but moments of toughness, sadness. But what I'm very thankful for is that I have a great family support system and friend system that exists. When I call on them, they're there. Sometimes I don't know what to call on them for or who to call on, but the universe and divinely has blessed me with the answer to who I need to talk to when I need to talk to someone, because I've been in a lot of spaces in my mind this year, and I'm glad that I've improved. For instance, I'm working on getting my an extra passport for another country because my father is an immigrant. So I'd like to have a passport to the country of my father's birth, so I can actually start to know my roots and get a fully developed history of who I am. So with the year wrapping up, now I'm working with my own company, obviously developing mobile apps and trying to do some publicity. Not saying trying, because I would like to do more publicity, but you can only do what you're allowed to do, so to speak. So with that, you know, I feel like I will be able to do a lot more in the coming months and years because of just the creativity that I've been blessed with. But I'm working with adults teaching English, and I think that is really cool. It's something that I wanted to do and I've been interested in, and it's been everything that I aspired for it to be, and I'm very appreciative of that. So as I create more visions in my mind about aspirations of things I would like to do, thinking about the growth of my business and the success of my business, and continually partnering with people, because I don't know where I got the partnering thing from, even though I grew up as an only child, but I love collaborating with people. And so I believe that divinely, universally, there will be an opening for me to collaborate with the correct influential people to acquire that wealth, so I can have and help the people who are really, really a part of my team, that we can grow together, and also help them acquire the metas, as you would say in Spanish, or the goals that they have going forward. So that's 2019, man. All I know is I'll say this about 2019. The people that have been in my life, I thank them so much for being in my life, because there's been some really consistent people that have just done so much for me. And I love them, and I thank them for that, because, you know, I'm sure I could have made it without you, but making it with you, it's the icing that made the cake that much sweeter, and it's that natural sugar, so you don't get cavities from it. That's 2019, man. All right. So, after another break, 10 years forward, 2020 to 2029. Like crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? So, what do I aspire to do or think will happen in the next 10 years? Okay, so I went on the record before. I'll go on the record again. I'm fine with being okay. There's a presidential election in 2020 in the United States. It is my opinion based on the climate, energy, and the focus. If you believe in law of attraction or not, all the focus is only on one person, not the opponent. So, in my opinion, in the 2020 election, the current president will be reelected. And this is neither nor an endorsement for them or the political party, because I actually think political parties are terrible. And I think they're very divisive and unconstructive to actual political advancement. I also think term limits should exist for elected offices. But anyways, I think the current president will be reelected. Now, what happens after that, I think, will be very interesting. I think at that point, there will be a significant anger about it. I think there will be an anger socially in the country. And I'm unsure what behaviors will happen, but I think there will be some sort of outcry for a change. And I think there may be a system change in the United States. And I don't mean system as holistically, but I mean the democracy that the United States holds as being the pillar of light in the world, I think will really alter on the world stage. And I think you'll start seeing a shift in mentality of the individuals in the United States. There's a lot of fear in many countries, but one thing I've noticed a lot of is fear. And it's sort of untargeted fear. So it's just gray matter and the smoke fear of the boogeyman kind of fear thing, but knowing the boogeyman is real in this sense. So I don't know what will happen, nor do I want anything negative or, violent or detrimental to people to happen. But I think there will be a response on a level that I think people will be altered for a significant time period going forward, which in general change is normally good. So I'll be happy with that. So 2020 election, right? But if we're looking at a couple of spots in the years, 2022 is the World Cup. I know I've said this to myself multiple times. I wanted to go to the World Cup when it was in Brazil. I wanted to go to the World Cup when it was in Russia. Well, this next World Cup is, I think it's in Dubai. It's in the Middle East for sure. And it's going to be insanely hot. I can't remember if it's in the summer or the winter time. I think it's in the winter because of the heat. I would like to go to that World Cup. So, gotta get my money right. And but if I don't go, I would like to go to the next one, which would be in 2026. Maybe that'll be that's the one in the United States, I think. So I'm definitely down for that one. I will find me a stadium to go for sure. Probably Atlanta with the homies Chris and JB. And the 2024 election, I think that will be a really interesting one. I'm talking politics because I freaking love politics. It's kind of who I am, and so. Because people think, politics is it. Politics is everything. Politics is how you talk to a woman. Politics is how you talk to people at work. Anybody who thinks talking about politics is bad, I understand what you're saying because it makes you uncomfortable, but you have to find a way to talk about politics, because if you're governing yourself from talking about things that matter to you without having the open ears and mind to accept criticism in a friendly, progressive way, then you just really miss it all. The humans we're not supposed to be enemies of each other. But anyways, so looking at these, so there's an election in 2024, no idea what that, but I'm saying this to myself now because this was a thing I had. In 2028, I think I want to run for a political office. Maybe I'll run for president, right? If there's still a presidency. But I think I want to run for president or a political office. My brother Jason, his dad ran for a political office. And so I see that it's quite an ordeal. So I'll definitely, hopefully have him, as maybe an elected official at that time, or definitely an advisor to help me embrace or do that endeavor that I aspire to in 2028, running for political office, right? I have a note here that I'm going to be a millionaire in the sense of actually wealth having generational in 2029. I've set that as my timeline. So I know I mentioned the last one for people to go and travel. We gonna do that. And so there's a couple of things that I'd like to do in the next 10 years. I'd like to go to an NBA Finals. I think that would be absolutely amazing. I would love to see the Knicks make the playoffs again at some point in my lifetime. But an NBA Finals, I think that would be really cool. For instance, I think LeBron James, whether you like him or not, is a generational player. So his last game will come up at some point, and like Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade went on their tours of the league when everyone knew it was their last year. I'm hoping he's in the same position where he can announce when it'll be his last year. And I definitely would like to see LeBron James play in his last year in at least one location for his farewell tour. I've never said this publicly, but I'll say this now because it feels solid in my life. People have always known that I get along with children very well, so I would like to have a child in the next 10 years. I think that would be fitting because I've always thought about my own personal legacy of what's my legacy. It's the reason I write books. It's the reason why I'm trying to create businesses, and I am creating businesses and events and things that can continue through time because while I don't have in this moment a genetic legacy from another person, I would like to create a legacy to leave behind because who knows when I go. You know, when we go, we go. And while I'm not being morbid, I accept the finiteness of life. But I would like to have a child, and I've said this before to people who know me. I'd like to have a girl because my sister's daughter. Oh my God! I mean, her son Amari is a beautiful young man, handsome young man. Because her husband is a really cool dude, so you know that's genetically they just make great kids, right? And so, but her daughter, oh my God, like she's so beautiful. I got to hold her. And you know, I normally don't like to hold kids. Well, if you don't know me, you know now. I don't really normally like to hold kids, but she was so amazing. Just such a beautiful little girl. Looks just like her mom and her dad. And it was really cool to be an uncle for the time that I got to be around her, even though I don't really know what an uncle is or is supposed to do. But anyways, so a child. A daughter would be a preference, and maybe a son after that if the universe sees fit divinely that I get to have more than one child. A daughter first is preference, and then like a son. That balance, right? And then another thing that I would like to have, and I'm working towards that. I feel like I'm pretty close to that. Is having a home in multiple locations, countries. Because I think that what that does is it makes you sort of more world aware and care about, sort of different world issues. And also saying, you can be connected to different places. And having a home, apartment, something like that in multiple locations, it goes to my next meta or my next goal is to be fluent in 4 languages. So right now I feel comfortable with Spanish. I'm going to continue to grow with that. But my goal is just basically looking at when I learned French when I was in university and in high school, that I can pick that back up, right? So because my French background helped me learn a lot of stuff in Spanish. So I would like to pick my French back up. But then also I would like to learn another Romance language, probably Italian or Portuguese. So maybe, but my goal is 4. In these next 10 years to be fluent in 4 languages. If I can get Chinese back on me after my visit there in the past, that would be really cool as well. A big thing, my mom is not too terribly far from retirement, and I know she's looking forward to it because she has her own goals and she has her own little business. But what I would like to do is to gift her a business where I can give her a storefront to run her business from, to do her art and the things that she enjoys doing, because that's what she wants to do. And I just want her to be able to do it for passion, but make money as well and be successful. And while she's not necessarily looking for notoriety, I would like for her to have sort of a local notoriety where her art and her work, brings the happiness to other people that she wants to bring to them. And I think that would be really cool. A thing that I've gone back and forth several times, but it's just in me, man. I'd like to start a school, and I'm unsure of how or what type of school, but that's something that's been on my heart several different occasions of I would like to start a school. And maybe it'll be in the multiple locations that I have my multiple dwellings, right? But I'd like to start a school, especially since just learning how to teach English, then my history and background in teaching social sciences, as well as just my love for math. And I just think that I have enough connections and enough wherewithal to start a school, and I would like to do that because again, I think we start thinking about legacy in life once we kind of know who we are, and I feel comfortable in who I am. While I will change and be a better version of myself next year, 5 minutes from now, 10 years from now, I know doing something like that as far as legacy building and leaving something behind for my purpose in life is something that I will want to do, and I hoped, well, that I'll have done in 10 years. But another thing is just like sort of a personal thing is if you know me, I'm a slim person, right? I mean, I work out, so I'm not like flabby slim. So I have muscles. I'm not bulky or anything like that. But somebody made a joke. I think I was last year. I think I went to Puerto Rico with my cousins for their birthday, and all of them are like muscular, big guys, right? I mean, height-wise, I'm pretty close in height and all that, but like build, I mean, these guys got at least, I mean, what, minimum 40 pounds on me, but they're built, right? And so, while I don't want to be built because I have this thing about, I might get lazy and not take care of it, so I don't want to become fat with muscle on me. But I would like to continue to improve my physique, my fitness, because, running and stuff, I hate running, but so play sports and stuff like that to keep my lungs and my fitness right, but as well as my health. Like, I feel like I've been learning so much about food and diet that while I don't have a plan to become vegetarian or anything like that, I think improving my diet and limiting the things that may be bad for me or bad for my body and eliminating or minimalizing those things, I think will be totally worth the time. And just finding more foods that I like and that are better for me and that bring the best out of my body, because this earth clearly makes and produces things that are good for your body. So why not, consume those things and return, to the earth the quality that I can in being a quality environmentalist, or just taking care of the space that I've been afforded the opportunity to have from, just sort of divine universal blessings. So that's the next 10 years, man. It's funny because I couldn't tell you in the 10 years that up to this point, I couldn't tell you I was going to do any of these things. I had no desire to learn Spanish. I had no desire to live out of the country. I had no desire to do the things I'm doing right now, but I'm doing them. And have foresight to even see this was beyond me. And so I'm unsure how clear my 2020 vision is, but I feel like taking the time to think about and focus and create sort of a mentality or goals about what you may want in a more specific way, knowing yourself better, is really cool. And so I've enjoyed this, and I've enjoyed doing my podcast. It's been really, really therapeutic. I'm glad the moment came to me that I had free time to do that and interview with people. So I'm looking forward to having more voices on Voices. I'm not going to ask anybody as an advertisement. I'll talk to people one-on-one. But my another goal is for people to ask me to be on and interview me. I'm pretty sure I have some stuff in my mind to say or whatever. But I look forward to seeing you all. But I know if we're ever in our last words, I like to have my last words to be positive, though they're not. I'll be here tomorrow and the day after and the day after. I feel fairly confident about that. So with that being said, this is me saying, I had 2015 vision because that's my actual real vision from the doctor. So I moved from my 2019 vision to 2020 vision, and I look forward to you being successful in 2020, and I look forward to growing our connections and our relationships and just living our best life. So with that, 2 fingers, peace. Love y'all. So let me hit the ending credits because I didn't give ending credits. So I just want to say some thank yous to people. If you make it this far in the recording, I appreciate you listening, right? So I want to thank a couple of people for a fantastic contribution to me this year. I want to thank my mother. I want to thank my father. I want to thank my sisters, Ashley and April. I want to thank my brother, Kaleem. I want to thank my homeboy, Sydney, Chris, JB, Donnie, who else? Beto, William, Bernie, Eric, Natalia, Geraldine, who else? Tile, Ned, Omar, Al, Asif, Christian, Luisa, Pablo, Jorge, Clem, Diana, who else? Jonathan let me do my voice recordings. He rocks for that. Jimena, Catalina, Andres, Michelle, Juliana, Mark, who else? I think I said Glenn, but I'm going to say Glenn again. Tatiana, Sergio, Mason, Kevin, Rowan, Jason, Alex, Todd, James, Jesse, Francisco, Claudia, Juan, Stella, Alejandra, Francis, Jimmy, who else? Nikki, Jelini, Valentina, Jason, who else? Nisi, Corey, Daniela, Carlos, Gene, Don Eduardo hey, hold on, I'm gonna keep trying to go. Everista, Mario, I think I said Alejandro, but Alejandro, Jose Miguel, Mathan, Erica, who else? Yvonne, Mike, Andrew, Matt, Shannon, Jamie, Dr. Cabell, who else? There's more. I want to get all of them I can. Rakia, Nikki, Lashana, Tiana, Consuela, Otis, Tamika, Ryan, RJ, Alex, LaDante, everybody who did podcasts with me, anybody who talked to me on social media, and anybody that talked to me at all this year, whether it was a positive or a gray area, even if it was negative, I thank you for everything that you've done for me this year. I appreciate you so much. Oh, Danilo, I appreciate you so much. And if our relationship is strained, I hope that we release the strain and we go forward. And again, much love to you. I'll talk to y'all.